The Kreslak ship hovered above Helios 7, its dark metal hull reflecting no light. Inside, Hunter Captain Vrex clicked his scaled fingers against the command chair. His yellow eyes narrowed as he studied the human outpost below. Just another hunting ground. Just another weak species to add to their collection. Life signs confirmed 212 humans, said Sub-Hunter Kraz. Minimal defenses. Easy prey. Vrex stood, his 8-foot frame towering over the bridge crew. Begin the hunt. No survivors. I want 10 prime specimens for mounting. On Helios 7, alarms blared through the corridors of the research outpost. Commander Roy Harlow ran toward the command center, his boots pounding against the metal floor. The outpost wasn't meant for combat. They were scientists, engineers, and support staff, not soldiers. Status report, Roy demanded as he entered the command center. Lieutenant Diana Wright's fingers flew across the display. Alien vessel, unknown design. They're launching dropships. We got maybe 5 minutes before they land. Roy's mind raced. They had only a small security team and basic weapons. Get everyone to emergency stations. Security team to the armory. Chief Engineer Alan Phillips looked up from his console. Commander, I can reroute power to the shield generators, but it won't hold long. Roy nodded. Do it. Buy us whatever time you can. The Kreslak warriors descended in 6 dropships, each carrying 20 hunters. They were reptilian, with armored scales and sharp teeth. They had hunted 1,000 species across the galaxy. Humans would be no different. The first dropship landed near the main entrance. Hunt leader Skorth stepped out, plasma rifle ready. Remember, the High Hunter wants undamaged specimens. Kill the rest. Inside the outpost, Diana gathered the security team. They're coming in through the main entrance. We need to hold them off until the distress signal reaches Earth. Roy looked at the small team, just 15 trained security officers, and whoever else could hold a weapon. We're outgunned and outnumbered. But they expect us to be easy. Let's show them how wrong they are. Ellen rushed in, carrying modified mining equipment. I've repurposed these sonic drills. They should disrupt their communications based on the frequencies they're using. The first Kreslak warriors broke through the outer door. They moved with confidence, expecting little resistance. Then the lights went out. Night vision engaged, Skorth commanded. But something was wrong. Their sensors detected no heat signatures, no movement. The corridor was empty. Where are they hiding? A young hunter asked. The answer came in the form of modified mining charges that detonated from hidden recesses in the walls. Not powerful enough to kill through their armor, but the sonic pulse disrupted their communications and sensory equipment. In the darkness, Roy led the counterattack. Now, humans emerged from maintenance shafts and air ducts, firing not at the warriors' armored chests, but at the joints in their armor. Diana had studied the aliens through the outpost's cameras and identified weaknesses in seconds. They're fighting back. A Kreslak warrior shouted, surprise evident in his voice. On his ship, Vrex received scattered reports. What do you mean they're resisting? They're just humans. Alan had rerouted the outpost's power grid, creating electromagnetic pulses that disrupted the Kreslak weapons. Security officers led by Diana used the outpost's narrow corridors to separate the hunting parties and pick them off one by one. Roy faced Skorth in the main corridor, his standard-issue pistol against the alien's plasma rifle. The hunt leader fired, but Roy had anticipated this, sliding beneath the shot and firing at the alien's exposed neck. Skorth fell, green blood pooling beneath him. The remaining hunters retreated, confused by the unexpected resistance. Aboard his ship, Vrex received the news with disbelief. Impossible. They're prey, not predators. We've lost 40 warriors, his second-in-command reported. The humans fight like cornered beasts. Vrex hissed in anger. Retreat. We will return with a proper hunting party. As the Kreslak ship pulled away, Roy helped tend to the wounded. They had lost people, good people, but they had survived. Diana joined him, her uniform torn and bloodied. "They'll be back." "And we'll be ready," Roy said. "Send everything we've learned about them to Earth. Next time, we won't be defending. We'll be hunting." Alan looked up from his modified equipment. "They thought we were weak. That was their first mistake. And their last," Roy added, watching the alien ship disappear into the stars. The emergency meeting at Earth Central Command was tense. Admiral Victoria Palmer stood before the large display showing the attack on Helios 7. Her gray hair was pulled back tightly, her expression grim as the footage played. "These aliens, the Kreslak, weren't looking for resources or territory," she said. "They were hunting our people like animals." Captain Greg Donovan of the U.S. Defiant leaned forward. His weathered face showed concern. "The survivors at Helios 7 fought them off this time, but they'll be back with more forces." Communications specialist Olivia Martinez raised her hand. She had spent the last 48 hours studying the alien transmissions captured during the attack. "I found patterns in their communications," she said. "They refer to other species as prey or trophies. There are mentions of at least 30 other civilizations they've hunted." She pulled up translated segments of Kreslak communications on the main screen. "They call us soft prey, but note our unusual defensive capabilities. They're surprised we fought back effectively." Admiral Palmer paced the room. "So we're dealing with a species that hunts others for sport. Not for food, not for territory. For trophies." Roy Harlow's face appeared on the screen via video link from Helios 7. His left arm was in a sling, a reminder of their narrow escape. "These aren't mindless beasts, Admiral. They're organized, methodical. But they're also arrogant. They didn't expect resistance." Diana Wright joined Roy on the screen. "Their armor has weak points at the joints. Their communications can be disrupted with the right frequency. We learned a lot during the attack." "What do you recommend, Commander Harlow?" Palmer asked. "If we wait for them to attack again, we'll be playing defense. We need to show them that humans aren't easy prey." Captain Donovan nodded in agreement. "The U.S. Defiant is ready. We've been testing new shield technology that might counter their weapons." Admiral Palmer turned to the room full of military leaders and scientists. "We need a plan, not just to defend, but to send a message." In the days that followed, Earth prepared. The U.S. Defiant was joined by 4 other ships, forming a small but powerful fleet. Engineers worked around the clock to adapt their technology based on what was learned at Helios 7. Alan Phillips arrived from Helios 7 to assist with weapons modifications. "Their armor is strong, but if we adjust our laser frequency to this range," he pointed to his calculations, "we can penetrate it more effectively." On the observation deck of the U.S. Defiant, Greg Donovan watched as his crew prepared for departure. Olivia Martinez joined him, carrying a datapad. "I've deciphered more of their language," she said. "They have a strict hierarchy based on hunting prowess. Losing warriors at Helios 7 was a serious blow to their pride." "Good," Greg said. "Pride makes you sloppy." 5 days after the attack on Helios 7, Earth's counter-strike fleet was ready. Admiral Palmer addressed the crews from her flagship. "This isn't just about revenge," she said. "This is about survival. These Kreslak have hunted other species to extinction. We need to show them that humans are different. We are not prey." The fleet jumped to hyperspace, heading toward the coordinates where Olivia had determined the Kreslak hunting grounds would be. Far across the galaxy, in the massive stone chamber of the High Hunt Council, Grand Hunter Scrath slammed his clawed fist on the table. His scales were dark green with age, his yellow eyes clouded but still fierce. "One failed hunt has not concerned me," he growled. "No prey has ever resisted the Kreslak for long." Hunter Tactician Vrizel, smaller and lighter scaled than the others, spoke carefully. "The humans displayed unusual tactics. Perhaps we should study them further before." "Your caution disgusts me," Scrath interrupted. "Are you a hunter or prey?" Yum Clutch leader Krezik stood tall, his bright scales gleaming in the torchlight. "Give me the honor of leading the next hunt, Grand Hunter." I will bring you human trophies for your wall. Scrath nodded slowly. Prepare the hunting fleet. A full complement. We will exterminate these humans and take the best specimens as trophies. Only Vrizel looked troubled as the council adjourned, his instincts warning him that humans might be unlike any prey they had hunted before. Neither the humans nor the Kreslak knew that they were on a collision course. But while the Kreslak sought trophies, the humans were fighting for their survival. The great hunting vessel of the Kreslak cut through space like a predator through water. At its heart, in the trophy hall, Grand Hunter Scrath walked slowly among his prize kills. Mounted heads and preserved bodies from 100 different species lined the walls. Each one represented a successful hunt, a testament to Kreslak's superiority. Scrath stopped before an empty space on the wall. Here, he said to the attendant following him, this is where the human specimens will go. Clutch leader Krezix entered the trophy hall and bowed low. His scales gleamed with polish, showing his youth and ambition. The hunting fleet is ready, Grand Hunter. 20 ships, each with a full complement of warriors. Scrath nodded in approval. You understand the importance of this hunt. The lesser hunters are speaking of the resistance at the human outpost. Such talk weakens us. I will bring you so many human trophies that we will need to expand this hall, Krezix boasted. The talk will end when they see humans are no different from any other prey. Hunter-tactician Vrizel entered quietly, his movements careful and measured. Unlike the others, his armor was worn from use rather than polished for show. Grand Hunter, may I speak? Scrath flicked his clawed hand in permission. I have studied the recordings from the failed hunt, Vrizel said. These humans, they do not react like normal prey. They adapted to our tactics during the battle. They targeted weaknesses in our armor that they could not have known about beforehand. Krezix hissed with contempt. They got lucky. They were fighting for their lives, like cornered animals. Perhaps, Vrizel continued, but cornered animals fight with desperation, not strategy. The humans set traps. They adapted their tools into weapons. They coordinated their defense. Scrath's eyes narrowed. What are you suggesting, Vrizel? Only that we should study them more before committing to a full hunt. Learn their weaknesses, their patterns. Hunt them properly, as we would any dangerous prey. Krezix stepped forward, his tail lashing with anger. You speak of humans as if they are worthy adversaries. They are prey, nothing more. Your caution dishonors the hunting traditions. The Grand Hunter considered both views silently. Then he turned to the vast star map displayed on one wall of the trophy hall. Show me where they are. A technician activated the display, highlighting a small section of a spiral galaxy. Here, Grand Hunter, the planet they call Earth, and their few colony worlds. And our hunting party is heading here. He pointed to a small blinking light near the human territory. Yes, Grand Hunter. We will establish a forward base at these coordinates. From there, we can launch the Great Hunt. Vrizel studied the map with concern. The location is close to the asteroid field where mining activity was detected. If humans are there, they will be hunted, Krezix interrupted. If there are humans hiding among those rocks, they will make fine practice before we move on to their main worlds. Scrath seemed pleased by this aggression. You leave in 6 hours, Clutch Leader. Make the Kreslak proud. After Krezix departed, Vrizel remained behind. Grand Hunter, I request permission to join the hunting fleet. You? The cautious one. Scrath seemed amused. Why? Because if I am wrong, I wish to witness the glory of the hunt. And if I am right, the fleet may need my experience. The old hunter studied Vrizel for a long moment. Very well. Go. But remember, Vrizel, questioning the hunt is one step from questioning the hunter. Tread carefully. Vrizel bowed and left the trophy hall, his mind troubled. In all his years as a hunter, he had never encountered prey that made him uneasy. Until now. Meanwhile, deep in the asteroid field, human ships moved silently among the rocks. Admiral Palmer's fleet had arrived days earlier, and was now carefully positioning itself. Unlike the Kreslak, they didn't announce their presence with grand ships and bold declarations. "They're coming," Roy Harlow said, looking at the sensor readings. "Just as we predicted." Diana Wright studied the tactical display on the bridge of their concealed vessel. "They expect to find maybe a small mining operation here, not a prepared defense force." "Let them come," Captain Donovan said from the U.S. Defiant, hidden behind the largest asteroid. "Let's show these hunters what it feels like to walk into a trap." Asteroid LV 726 floated silently in space, its cratered surface hiding humanity's trap. Inside the hollowed-out rock, Major Samantha Collins checked her tactical gear one last time. Her Special Forces team had trained for weeks for this mission. "Status report," she demanded. "All explosives are in place," Sergeant Frank Morales replied. His normally cheerful face was serious now. The demolitions expert had spent days placing charges at key points throughout the asteroid field. "One push of this button, and our friends will have a very bad day." Dr. Kyle Harrison looked up from his datapad. The xenobiologist had been studying the Kreslak biology from samples collected at Helios 7. "Remember, aim for the neck and joint areas. Their scales are weakest there." Sam nodded. "Everybody clear on the plan. We let them land. We let them think they found just a small mining operation. Then we spring the trap." The small human force spread throughout the mining facility. They weren't here to fight the Kreslak head-on. That would be suicide. They were here to teach the hunters a lesson. The Kreslak fleet arrived with typical hunting fanfare. Their ships emerged from hyperspace with exterior lights blazing, announcing their presence. They wanted their prey to know death was coming. "Scans show minimal defenses," a Kreslak sensor operator reported. "Small human mining operation. Approximately 50 life signs detected." Clutch leader Krezix bared his teeth in anticipation. "Perfect. A small hunt to warm us up before we move on to their main worlds." Hunter tactician Vriesel studied the sensor readings with suspicion. "It's too convenient. The humans know we attacked their outpost. Why would they leave this facility so poorly defended?" "Because they are prey," Krezix said dismissively. "They hide and hope we pass them by." He turned to his hunting party. "Prepare the dropships. We take them all." 6 dropships launched from the main vessel, each carrying 15 hunters in full battle armor. They landed at different points around the mining facility, surrounding it completely. Inside the facility's control room, Sam watched the Kreslak deployment on the monitors. "They're following the exact pattern we predicted. Overconfident, spreading out to flush us toward their main force. Just like hunting deer back home," Frank added with a grim smile. The first Kreslak hunting party breached the outer doors of the facility. They moved with practiced efficiency, checking corners, advancing in formation. They found the first humans, apparent miners cowering in a storage room. "Please don't kill us," one miner begged. "We're just workers." The Kreslak hunt leader grabbed the human by the throat. "Where are the others hiding?" Deeper in the mine," the human stuttered. "In the emergency shelters." A hunt leader dropped the human and signaled his team forward. "See how easily they betray each other. Pathetic prey." What the Kreslak didn't realize was that the miners were actually special forces in disguise. The moment the hunting party moved deeper into the facility, the trap began. Sam's voice came over the comm system. "Phase 1 complete. They took the bait. Begin Phase 2. Frank pressed his detonator. Throughout the asteroid field, carefully placed explosives detonated, not to kill but to create a debris field that disabled the Kreslak ship's communications and sensors. In the confusion, Dr. Harrison activated the facility's environmental controls. The air filled with a fine mist, harmless to humans, but irritating to Kreslak sensory organs. "What is this?" A Kreslak warrior hissed, his vision blurring. The human miners suddenly shed their frightened demeanor. They moved with military precision, attacking the disoriented hunters with weapons specifically designed to penetrate their armor at the weak points. Aboard his command ship, Krezix lost contact with his hunting parties one by one. What is happening down there? Vriesel studied the tactical display. We're being jammed. And look at these energy readings. They've been preparing this place for days. Impossible. Krezix snarled. They couldn't have known we were coming. But the humans had known. They had baited the trap perfectly, using the Krezlak's own hunting pride against them. On the asteroid, Sam led her team through the facility's maintenance tunnels, ambushing Krezlak hunting parties from behind. The hunters, used to prey that ran in fear, found themselves surrounded, confused, and under attack from an enemy that understood predatory tactics all too well. They hunt for sport, Sam told her team as they prepared another ambush. We hunt to survive. That's the difference they're about to learn. News of the human victory at asteroid LV-726 spread quickly across the galaxy. Species that had lived in fear of the Krezlak for generations watched with growing interest. The hunters had never been defeated before, let alone humiliated. Ambassador Eliza Jordan stood on the observation deck of Earth's first diplomatic station in neutral space. Her mission was simple but vital. Find allies against the Krezlak. 3 alien ships had arrived to meet with her, each representing a species that had suffered under Krezlak hunting parties. They took entire populations from our outer colonies, said the Volari representative, a tall being with blue skin and 4 arms. We thought resistance was impossible, so we gave them what they wanted to save the rest. The Tekken delegate, insect-like with compound eyes, clicked its mandibles in agreement. For 8 generations, we have paid a tribute of our finest warriors, sent to their hunting grounds as prey. Commander Jason Reed, head of security for the diplomatic station, watched the aliens with suspicion. His hand never strayed far from his sidearm. How do we know this isn't a trap? The Krezlak could have sent you. Eliza gave him a warning look. Commander, please. The 3rd delegate, a reptilian saurik with feathered crests, hissed softly. If we were allied with the Krezlak, human, your species would already be mounted on their trophy walls. We come because you have done what we thought impossible. First Contact Specialist Nathan Cooper entered the observation deck with data pads for everyone. We've compiled information on Krezlak hunting patterns across 12 sectors. They've been systematically targeting developing spacefaring civilizations for over 3,000 years. They believe it is their right, the Volari said. In their culture, the strong hunt and the weak are hunted. There is no concept of cooperation between species. Eliza studied the star maps showing Krezlak territory. They're powerful, but not as numerous as I expected for a species that dominates so much space. They don't need numbers, the Tekken clicked. Fear keeps most species in line. One successful hunt is usually enough to make a civilization surrender to their demands. On the other side of the galaxy, the Krezlak High Hunt Council was in an uproar. Grand Hunter Skrath sat silently on his throne-like chair as angry voices filled the chamber. 78 hunters lost, 3 ships disabled. One council member shouted, "This has never happened in our history. The humans knew we were coming." Another added, "They set a trap, like hunters rather than prey." Clutch leader Krezix, who had barely escaped the disaster at LV-726, stood before them in disgrace. His once gleaming armor was damaged, his pride shattered. "We underestimated them," he admitted, the words painful. "They used our hunting tactics against us." Vriesel, who had warned of the humans' unusual capabilities, remained quiet. He had seen firsthand how the humans fought, not with the desperation of prey, but with the calculated precision of experienced predators. Skrath finally rose, silencing the chamber. In 10,000 years, no species has dared to hunt the Krezlak. These humans have not only resisted us, but have humiliated us. He walked to the center of the chamber, his ancient eyes burning with rage. "I declare the extinction hunt. We will commit our entire fleet, every hunter, to removing this species from the galaxy." The council members fell silent. The extinction hunt was their most sacred ritual, only performed 3 times in their history. Each time, the targeted species have been completely wiped out, with no survivors. Back at the diplomatic station, Nathan showed Ambassador Jordan images from long-range scouts. The Kreslak are mobilizing their entire fleet. This goes beyond retaliation for LV-726. They're coming for Earth, Eliza realized. All of them. The Volari representative stepped forward. Then you must be ready. My government offers this. He handed her a data crystal. Weapons technology we've been developing in secret. It may help against their ships. The Tekken and Sorik made similar offers. Sensor technology, shield enhancements, tactical data on Kreslak flight patterns. Commander Reed looked at the alien delegates with new respect. You're really going to help us fight them. The Sorik's feathered crest flattened against its head in a gesture of solemnity. For generations, we believed resistance was futile. You humans have shown us it is possible. If you fall, we all fall. Eliza took the offerings with a formal bow. Then we stand together. Not just for humanity, but for all species who refuse to be prey. The massive Kreslak hunting fleet moved through space like a storm front. Over 300 ships, carrying thousands of hunters, all focused on a single goal: the complete extinction of humanity. Never before had they committed such forces against a single species. On the bridge of the flagship, Grand Hunter Skrath himself oversaw the operation. This was no longer just a hunt. This was about preserving the natural order. Predators hunt, prey dies. Humans had challenged this fundamental truth. We will reach their outer defenses in 6 hours, a navigator reported. Skrath nodded slowly. This time, there will be no survivors, no trophies, only extinction. The human defense fleet waited at the edge of their solar system. Every available ship had been mobilized, along with the contributions from their new allies. But they were still outnumbered 3-1. Admiral Palmer studied the tactical display with a grim expression. They're coming in full force, just as we anticipated. Roy Harlow, now promoted to fleet commander, stood beside her. Despite his reluctance to take the position, he had proven himself an effective leader. Our allies' intel was correct. They're committing everything to this attack. They're angry, Diana Wright said. She had developed new battle tactics based on Earth predator-prey relationships. They're used to being the apex predator. We wounded their pride. Alan Phillips entered the bridge, carrying data pads. The engineer had been working non-stop on adapting alien technology to human ships. The shield modifications are complete on all ships. The Volari tech should give us an edge against their main weapons. Admiral Palmer addressed the fleet. The Kreslak expect us to behave like prey, to run, to hide, to beg for mercy. Today, we show them that humans are not prey. We never were. We evolved as hunters ourselves, and we remember how to fight like predators. The human fleet moved into position. Unlike traditional military formations, they arranged themselves using patterns inspired by wolf packs and hunting birds, smaller, more maneuverable groups that could scatter and reform as needed. They're expecting us to defend Earth directly, Roy explained to his captains. Instead, we'll draw them into a running battle through the asteroid belt, make them chase us. Diana added, Earth predators like wolves and lions know that the most dangerous prey is not the one that runs away, but the one that turns and fights strategically. The Kreslak fleet arrived with overwhelming force. Their massive ships dwarfed the human vessels. They fired the first salvos, expecting to obliterate the human defenses quickly. But the human ships, enhanced with alien shield technology, absorbed the impact better than expected. They broke formation, scattering in all directions in what looked like panic to the Kreslak. They flee, as all prey does, Skrath observed with satisfaction. Pursue and destroy them. Vrezel, watching from a secondary command post, shook his head. No, they're not fleeing. Look at their movement patterns. They're drawing us in, separating our forces. But his warning went unheeded as the Kreslak fleet divided to chase the seemingly retreating humans. They followed the smaller ships into the asteroid belt, where visibility was limited and their large ships had less room to maneuver. And then the trap was sprung. Human ships suddenly reversed course, attacking in small, coordinated groups. They targeted the separated Kres-like vessels with precise strikes at weak points in their armor, knowledge gained from their alien allies. From his flagship, Roy directed the battle. Just like the hunting strategies of our ancestors, we're not stronger than them, but we're smarter, more adaptable. The Kres-like, used to straightforward combat against terrified prey, found themselves confused by the human tactics. Their ships were being attacked from multiple directions, forced to defend rather than attack. Scrath watched in growing rage as battle reports showed Kres-like ships being disabled one after another. Impossible. They are just humans. Vriesel finally spoke up. They are not just humans, Grand Hunter. They are what we once were, true hunters who evolved fighting both as predator and prey. They understand both sides of the hunt. For the first time in his long life, Scrath felt something unfamiliar: doubt. The natural order he had believed in for centuries was being challenged before his eyes. All ships, he commanded, regroup and push forward. I will lead the final assault myself. We end this now. The decisive battle moved into Earth's solar system. Admiral Palmer had implemented a risky strategy called Operation Honeypot. They had deliberately allowed some Kres-like ships to push toward Earth, making the aliens believe they were close to victory. Status report. Admiral Palmer demanded from her command center on Luna Base. The Kres-like main fleet is approaching Mars orbit. An officer responded. They took the bait. Palmer nodded. Begin the next phase. Far from the main battle, Captain Greg Donovan led the U.S. Defiant and a small fleet of fast attack ships on a daring mission. They had slipped behind enemy lines while the Kres-like were focused on Earth. All ships maintain communication silence. Greg ordered, "We get one shot at this." Their target was the Kres-like command network, a series of relay stations that coordinated the massive hunting fleet. This information had come from their alien allies, who had observed the Kres-like for generations. Meanwhile, Olivia Martinez had made a critical breakthrough. Working with data from captured Kres-like ships, she had finally cracked their battle language. I can interpret their commands in real time now, she told Admiral Palmer. They're using hunting calls, specific patterns that tell their ships how to coordinate. Can we disrupt them? Palmer asked. Better, Olivia smiled. We can imitate them. Near Mars, the Kres-like fleet pressed forward, believing victory was within reach. Grand Hunter Scrath stood on his bridge, watching the blue-green planet that was the humans' homeworld grow larger on the view screen. Soon, he said, the natural order will be restored. Without warning, the human ships that had appeared to be retreating suddenly altered their formation. They moved with new purpose, in patterns that confused the Kres-like sensors. What are they doing? Scrath demanded. A communication officer looked up in confusion. Grand Hunter, we're receiving contradictory orders on the command channels. Vriesel studied the tactical display. The humans are mimicking our command signals. Our ships are receiving false orders. As chaos spread through the Kres-like fleet, the human ships struck with precision. They targeted engines and weapons systems, disabling rather than destroying when possible. On the Kres-like command ship, Roy Harlow led a small infiltration team. They had boarded during the confusion, using stealth technology developed by combining human ingenuity with alien science. This way, Roy whispered to his team, according to the ship schematics, the main bridge is 3 levels up. Their mission was not to destroy the ship, but to confront Scrath himself. Admiral Palmer had been clear. End this by changing their thinking, not by exterminating them. We're not like them. On the bridge, Scrath received increasingly dire reports. Ships disabled, communications disrupted, and now security alerts indicating intruders on board. Impossible, he growled. No prey has ever. That's your mistake, Roy said as he and his team burst onto the bridge, weapons ready. We were never prey. Scrath turned to face the humans, his massive frame towering over them. "You dare to board my ship, to stand before me?" "We dare," Roy said calmly, "because that's what humans do. We don't just survive. We adapt, we learn, we overcome." At that moment, Captain Donovan's strike team succeeded in their mission. The Kreslak command network went offline, leaving the hunting fleet in disarray. Vriesel stepped forward. "Grand Hunter, we have lost the advantage. The hunt has failed." For a moment, Scrath seemed ready to fight to the death. Then something unexpected happened. He looked at the humans standing before him, not cowering in fear, but facing him as equals, and he began to understand. "You hunt," he said slowly. "You hunt like we do." "No," Roy corrected him. "Not like you. We hunted to survive, not for sport. We evolved understanding both the hunter and the hunted. That's why we could anticipate your every move." Scrath looked at the battle display, showing his mighty fleet in shambles. Humans had done what no species had done before. They had beaten the hunters at their own game. "Perhaps," Scrath said, his voice heavy with realization, "in all our hunts across the galaxy, we have finally found our match." 1 month after the great battle in Earth's solar system, representatives from 12 species gathered on neutral ground. The space station orbiting a lifeless planet served as the meeting place for what many were calling a new era in galactic history. Roy Harlow adjusted his formal uniform uncomfortably. He preferred his battle gear to diplomatic attire, but Admiral Palmer had insisted he attend. "You faced Scrath directly," she had told him. "They respect that." The delegation from Earth included Diana Wright and Alan Phillips as well. Diana's tactical innovations had changed space warfare forever, while Alan's engineering adaptations had given human ships the edge they needed to survive. The massive doors at the end of the chamber opened, and the Kreslak delegation entered. Grand Hunter Scrath led them, his ancient frame moving with dignity, despite the defeat his people had suffered. Vriesel walked beside him, now elevated to chief advisor, a position earned by his wisdom in recognizing the human threat. "Never thought I'd be in the same room with them without weapons drawn," Alan whispered. Diana smiled slightly. "We're still armed, just with words instead of lasers." Ambassador Eliza Jordan stepped forward to begin the proceedings. Over the past weeks, she had worked tirelessly to bring together not just the Kreslakan humans, but all species affected by the hunter's predations. "We gather today to establish a new relationship between our peoples," she began. "The age of hunting sentient species ends today." The Volari representative spoke next. "For generations, we lived in fear. We believed resistance was futile. Humans showed us otherwise." Scrath's yellow eyes surveyed the chamber. "The Kreslak have hunted for 10,000 years. It is our way, our tradition, our identity. And it ends now," Roy said firmly. "Or we finish what we started." A tense silence filled the room. Then Vriesel stepped forward. "The hunt has value," he said carefully. "It teaches strength, courage, skill. But true predators do not exterminate. They maintain balance." "The hunt can continue," Diana offered, "but only in designated zones, with volunteers who seek the challenge. Never again against unwilling populations." Over the next several hours, the details of what would become known as the Galactic Cooperative were hammered out. The Kreslak would maintain their cultural traditions, but within strict boundaries. Their hunting prowess would be redirected to protecting the very species they once preyed upon. As the formal treaty was signed, Scrath approached Roy privately. "You could have destroyed us after the battle," the ancient hunter said. "Your ships had the advantage. Why didn't you?" Roy thought about his answer carefully. "Because extermination isn't our way. Humans learned long ago that the strongest predator isn't the one that kills everything. It's the one that knows when not to kill." 6 months later, the changes across the galaxy were remarkable. Alan Phillips now led technological exchange programs between humans and former Kreslak victims. His innovations had helped dozens of species rebuild what they had lost. Diana Wright had become the chief architect of the cooperative's defense strategy. Her office walls were covered with diagrams showing how different species could work together, combining their unique strengths. The Tekken ships are fastest, so they serve as scouts, she explained to a group of officers from 6 different species. The Volari excel at shield technology, while human vessels provide tactical coordination. Roy had reluctantly accepted leadership of the multi-species defense force. Today, he stood on the bridge of a new ship, watching as a mixed crew of humans, Volari, Tekken, and even a few Kreslak worked together. Strange times, he commented to Vrezel, who had become an unexpected ally. The Kreslak nodded. Indeed, but perhaps better times. The true test of a predator is not how well it hunts, but how well it adapts when the hunting grounds change. A young human officer approached. "Sir, we've detected unusual activity in Sector 47. Possible new species making first steps into space." "Set course," Roy ordered, "but friendly approach only. We're not hunters anymore. We're guides." As the ship changed direction, Roy looked out at the stars. The galaxy was no longer divided between predators and prey, but between those who embraced cooperation and those who hadn't learned its value yet. Humanity had not just survived the hunters, they had changed them, and in doing so, they had changed the course of galactic history forever.